to welcome you all to my inaugural debut on Facebook Live. This has been a long time coming, something I have been thinking about and just going back and forth of should I do, should I not do. My name is Kia Stevens, and I am the creator of the Father Swap blog. And the purpose of this blog is to provide a source of encouragement, healing, and practical wisdom for women who grew up without the love and affirmation of their biological dads. And on my blog, I interact with women who have experienced father loss as it relates to divorce, abandonment, abuse, incarceration, drug addiction, alcoholism, death, and physical presence or emotional absence. I interact with a lot of women. And one of the things that I have on my blog is a survey for the readers where they can fill it out and just tell me a little bit more about them. So one of the questions that I have on the blog is, as it relates to your father-daughter relationship, what area presents your biggest challenge? And for many of them, this is the top answer that I'm about to share with you. You could probably guess what it is. Out of the choices of like boundaries or emotional healing or, you know, relationship with your father, relationship with God, the number one choice that women pick, in fact, 33% of respondents picked their relationship with the opposite sex. And this is, it seems like it's reiterated all the time as I interact with women. In fact, recently I was in a small group of women. There was a mix of married and single women. And in that group, one of the single women was talking to, asked a question of one of the married women, and she basically said, where did you find your husband? And then somebody else was like, yeah, and how do I get a good man? And this was the sentiment that was shared amongst the women in the group. Just kind of, how do you find a husband? And I want to go on a date, and so forth like that. And certainly this is not unique to the women on my blog. It's not unique to the women in that group. This is common amongst women. We want to be cherished. We want to be valued. We want to be loved. We want to be esteemed amongst all other women. And certainly with it being Valentine's Day, and we have all of these inundation of balloons and flowers and roses and, you know, slow jams and commercial changes, and he went to Jared and all of this, it's just like overwhelming. So of course, every woman wants to experience that, where she is cherished and so loved. So I thought this would be the perfect inaugural debut for my Facebook Live to talk about how to get the love that we desire. And I kind of tweaked it a smidget to 3 ways to get the love that we desire. So I'm gonna talk about three things that we can do. So if you would just join me in prayer as I go before the Lord. God, I thank you so much for this time. I thank you that you see every woman that is watching this broadcast or that will watch the broadcast, Father, and I pray that you would completely speak to her heart, especially during this difficult time that can be difficult of Valentine's Day, if you're not booed up, Lord. So I know you're going to speak to her, whether she's watching now or she watches later. Okay, so as I was preparing to talk to you guys, I wanted to share a guilty pleasure that I have with you on Facebook with the masses. One of my guilty pleasures is a chai tea frappuccino. Well, really, chai tea latte or a chai tea frappuccino. I love them both. I love them so much. I mean, I could taste the flavors. When I start craving one, I can taste it exactly. And generally when I get one, it's like a time for me. It's where I go to get my relax, to get my zen feeling on. You know, I have to have a chai tea latte or a chai tea frappuccino, and I don't want my kids with me. because they have gotten to the place where they're starting to ask me for some. Like, they like a chai tea, and I'm thinking, no, negative. So this has become an event for me to leave the house by myself and go to Starbucks and get my chai tea. So on one occasion, I went to Starbucks, pulled into the driveway, and the drive-through, not the driveway. Excuse me, Facebook. But I go to the drive-through to get my chai tea, and pay for it and everything, and I'm all looking forward to it. My taste buds are ready, everything is ready, and I take a sip, and I'm like, man, that something don't taste right. Something does not taste right. So I'm like, maybe it's me. Let me take another sip. I take another sip, and it still doesn't taste right. So now I go from being a little bit frustrated to just straight mad, because now I got to get out my car, and the whole experience is completely ruined because I have to stop my car, go into Starbucks, and tell the lady that this chai tea doesn't taste right. To which she responds to me, oh, they reformulated the recipe. And I'm thinking, well, great, boo. When were you going to tell me that they reformulated the recipe? When were you going to say something? So she proceeds to squirt something into the cup and gives it back to me. And then I taste it, and it still is not right. It's still not right. It's not my flavor, because I've memorized these spices. I know, y'all. I know my chai tea latte. And I went ahead and drank it. I know some of y'all are like, you could have given it back. I could have given it back. I didn't, because I had a sweet tooth. But I'm telling you, just muddling through that bad taste in chai tea, it was kind of frustrating, because I had built up in my mind what I was expecting, what I wanted. I had envisioned it, fantasized over, and then when I got it, it was like, wow, this is such a letdown. I'm pretty disappointed. And as I thought about that, I realized, I have also experienced a similar disappointment in my relationships. Well, specifically in marriage. So let me be specific. And I say that to say, when you're young and you're in high school, then you're in college, and you're a little girl, you fantasize about marriage. You fantasize about what it's going to be like, to get the husband, get the kids, get the house. And it's going to be so perfect in the way that you envisioned it. And I'm 13 years in, y'all. I love my husband. But I got to tell you, at year 5, I had just a moment of disillusionment where I was like, wait a minute. Is this it? Is this it? I was really, kind of looking at what I desired and what I had, and saying, this is not what I thought it was going to be. This is not what I envisioned. And I got to be honest with you in saying that the discontentment, it was within me. The issue was within me, because I had uncommunicated expectations. I had ideals. I had my own framework of how I thought things were going to pan out. And it didn't pan out that way at that specific time. And so this is key as I'm talking to you guys, because you might be saying, well, I have desires too. You might be saying, I'm single, and where is my man that I've been praying for like in my 20s, and then in my 30s, and maybe in my 40s or my 50s? What's really going on, God? And you might be married, and you might be saying, this is not the love that I desire that's going on between me and my husband. In fact, it could be a whole lot of work. It could be a whole lot of work in your marriage, and not so much the chivalry, and not so much the love that you desire or that you expect. And if you find yourself there, I have some encouragement for you. It comes from the Bible. I just love the Bible, because the Bible is filled with all kinds of people just like us. I'm trying to see what, I don't know what Christine is saying, but the woman that I'm going to share with you, you probably know her. She's very familiar, very common. If you go to church. If you don't go to church, you may have heard about her. But I'm going to talk about the woman at the well. I love her. I absolutely love her. So let me go to my Bible. Y'all, I could not find my Bible. This is telling you about technology. I've used my phone so much, I don't even know what I did with my NIV Bible. That's bad. I'm going to look for that after this is over. Possibly, unless I'm going to bed. Okay? I'm going to read in John chapter 4. So you can follow along, or I'll just read it to you. Now he had to go through Samaria. The he that we're talking about is Jesus. So he came to a town in Samaria called Sychar, near the plot of ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. And it was about noon, which is key because it's hot at noon. It's hot at 12 noon. When a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" His disciples had gone into town to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink?" For Jews do not associate with Samaritans. Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." "Sir," the woman said, "you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where can you get this living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as did also his sons and his livestock?" And I'm going to skip down to 15, where the woman says, "Sir, give me this water so that I won't get thirsty and have to keep coming here to draw water." In which Jesus completely flips it like only he can. And he says, "Go call your husband and come back." And she says, "Sir, I have no husband," she replied. Jesus said to her, "You are right when you say you have no husband. The fact is you have had 5 husbands, and the man you now have is not your husband. What you have just said is quite true." Woo! Jesus will, he'll say some things. Now, I want to look at this woman because she was going to the well at midday. She didn't want to be seen. She did not want to be noticed by anybody. I mean, if you think about it, all the women in the town know she's had 5 husbands, and that the man she's with is not her own. So naturally, she's going to go at midday when the women are not going because it's too hot. And she's not expecting to encounter anybody, and certainly not Jesus. But Jesus was expecting to encounter her. Look at what it says in verse 4. Let me see, can I find it? Here it says, now he had to go through Samaria. It said he had to go. And I believe that he went. He didn't go anywhere unless it was his father's will for him to go. And I believe that it was God's will so that he could speak life into this Samaritan woman that had been rejected. She had been dismissed. She had been talked about. She had been mistreated, all these things. But she was about to experience an encounter with the God of the universe. Which brings me to my first point. 3 ways that we can get the love that we desire. Number 1, the first thing that we have to do is believe that God sees us. Believe that God sees us. And I am just looking at the scenario of Jesus interacting with the woman at the well. There were more reasons for him not to interact with her. Number 1, she's a Samaritan, and Jews didn't associate with Samaritans. Number 2, she was a woman, and it was against rabbinical law for a rabbi to initiate conversation with a woman. He initiated it with her. And then number 3, girlfriend got a pass. I mean, 5 husbands is a lot for 2017. We're just dealing with maybe 3, maybe 4 husbands, but 5? And then the person that she's with is not her own. So you think about that scripture that says, avoid the very appearance of evil. Jesus walked straight into an appearance of evil. Can't you just see somebody looking on like, okay, ain't that Jesus? Is that not Jesus with her? Her with the bad past, her with the man What in the world? So Jesus had to overcome, he had to overcome political correctness. He had to overcome customs. He had to overcome people's opinion, and he did. He didn't care about any of that because he saw her need. He saw her need. He saw her loneliness. He saw her ache. He saw everything about her that was going on with her at that moment. And it just makes you love the compassion of the Savior. But what I want to say is that God is no respecter of persons. It's not that he saw the woman at the well and he doesn't see us. He sees us. He sees us if we're single and we're saying, I can't take another Valentine's Day. I am so over it. He sees us if we're like, I do not want to walk into Kroger, Walmart, or Publix and see another red balloon. He sees us if we're married and our relationship is not what we want it to be. If there's lack in our relationship, or if there's a something we're desiring from our spouse that we're not receiving, he sees that, just like he saw the woman at the well. So my next point is, if we want to get the love that we so desperately desire, we have to abandon our substitutes. And I love how Jesus initiates this conversation with the woman by asking her for a drink of water. Now let's just, think about this. Jesus, who was the embodiment of God, who created water, is asking her for a drink. I think we all know if Jesus had really wanted some water, he could have made the well give him some water. He could have had it rain. I mean, he could have gotten him some water. But here you see the intentionality of Jesus. It was all about this woman. It was all about her that he even said, let me initiate conversation with you. And so he asked her for a drink of water, and he already knows how she's going to respond. You shouldn't be asking me for some water. You're a Jew and I'm a Samaritan. And then he responds to her in this way. Let me see if I can find it. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm getting ahead of myself, going so fast. This is what he says to her. If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you would have asked him and he would have given you living water. And this woman, she doesn't get it. She doesn't get it, just like us. Because if we got it, y'all, if we for real got it, what Jesus is offering us on a day-to-day basis, we wouldn't wrestle with our own substitutes. We wouldn't be clinging to, Jesus, you can't touch that. No. I want this cell phone. I want my social media. I want this man in my life. I want to continue to have sex. I want this side relationship. I want all of this. If we had a for real revelation of the living water that Jesus offers us, we would not be clinging to our substitutes. This is what she said. She says, sir, the woman said, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where can you get this living water from? She just clearly does not know that she's talking to Jesus. But that's how we kind of are, in the natural, where we have the things of God on one side, and then we have the things that we can see, we can touch, we can taste, they're tangible. And we're looking at the things of God saying, this doesn't make sense. Like, why would I give up the man? Why would I give up my side relationship? Why would I give up my cell phone? Why would I give up my novel or my television show, whatever your substitute is? Why would I give that up for this invisible God that I can't see, that's offering me this living water that I can't taste? And it's just a challenge, not just for the woman, but for us too. And what she did not realize is that the living water that Jesus was offering her, it was that John 10:10 living water, where God says to us, I have come that they might have life and have it to the full. This is what she did not realize that Jesus was offering her. And I looked up the word living in the Greek, and that word is pronounced Zao. And it means I live, or I am alive. And she didn't realize that is what God was offering her, Jesus was offering her in that moment, he was offering her life that she didn't know. She didn't realize that her substitutes were only going to keep her thirsty. That man, you know, those 5 husbands, the man she was living with, and even us, if we have a relationship that's not God honoring, or if we have something in our life, it could be food, it could be busyness, it could be work, it could be anything that is not God honoring, it's going to leave us thirsty. It's just like that natural water. And here Jesus is saying, I have some living water that will satisfy the depths of the emptiness, the depths of the loneliness, the depths of the ache in your soul. I have water for that. But yet and still, we still do this tug of war with our substitutes. And I know that God is saying to us, if you want to experience the love that you desperately desire, you have got to abandon your substitutes. And the other thing I think about with that is, you know, God knows us better than any of our substitutes. He knows every inch of us, our failures, our mistakes, our habits, our hangups, our insecurities. He knows it all, just like he knew this woman. And his love is so unconditional. It's so unconditional. But I'm getting ahead of myself, because that really, all that should have been in point number 3. But I will find something else to talk about, because I love this text. I love this passage. So we have 3 things we need to do. We need to believe that God sees us. We need to abandon, Lord have mercy, our substitutes. And then the absolute last thing that we need to do, although there are many things, but I consolidated to 3. We need to accept what Jesus offers. And I'm going to read, go back and read verse 25, still in chapter 4. But the woman said, I know that Messiah called Christ is coming. So here she is. She's talking to God about God. She's like, I know he's coming. Craziness, Lord. And she says, when he comes, he will explain everything to us. So she has a knowledge of God. She has a knowledge of Christ. And then Jesus declares, this is when you have that aha moment where God is like, excuse me, you. It's the Lord here. It's the Lord. He says, I, the one speaking to you, I am he. And finally the light bulb comes on, like, what? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is the Lord. This is the one that my forefathers have told me about. This is the Savior. This is Messiah. This is King. Oh my goodness. And girlfriend got so excited that the very thing she came to the well for, she left it there. She left her jug. She left her jug, which is so symbolic. Let me read. I'm getting ahead because I'm getting excited. Hold on a minute. So then it says in verse 28, then leaving her water jar, the woman went back to the town and said to the people, come see a man who told me everything I ever did. Could this be the Messiah? They came out of the town and made their way toward him. Oh my goodness. And if you keep reading, you find out that many believed. Many came to believe. Oh my goodness. So here we are talking about our substitutes and abandoning our substitutes. Girlfriend left the water jug. She had been talking to Jesus about this natural water for forever. And about how she didn't get the living water, and how you're going to draw it, and where you're going to get this water from. And she left her natural water. And then she went back to the town, people that she was trying to avoid, the people that she, you know, had been rejected by, the people that caused her to go in the heat of day, to the well and get water, as opposed to going at a time that was more convenient for her, or at a time where there would be more women around. She went back to those people, the people that knew her 5 husbands. They knew them all. They knew what happened to him. They knew the man that she was with that wasn't hers. They knew everything about her. And she went back to them and said, come see this man that told me everything I ever did. And, you know, they got to be like, wow, for real? Because they knew everything she had done. And they're like, you mean to tell me somebody knew this about you before you told them? I need to go and encounter this man. And it's really powerful to think about the unconditional love of God. When you contrast it to what she had experienced from these people, God said, I know your past. I know all about these men in your past, but I still want you to come. I still want to give you this gift of living water. And he's not going to force it on you. He's not going to force it on. He didn't force it on her. He's not going to force it on us. He wants us to accept it, to see the value of it, to see the futility of our substitutes. And he wants us to come to him. And this is what this woman, what she did. And it speaks so much for us, so much to us, that wherever we are, God offers us this same type of overwhelming, audacious, all-consuming, compassionate love. And then what he does, he changes us. He changes us. We may come to him and our desires are all out of whack, you know, and we're like, I gotta have a man, I gotta have a man, I gotta have a man, or I need my husband to do this, he's got to do this, I need to go on a date like this, or I need to, you know, all these things, all these ideals, all these desires. And he transforms our desires so that they reflect who he is. It's just truly amazing. And y'all, I don't know who you are out there. I don't know if you are single and you're like, Kia, everything you're saying is for the birds. I'm not feeling that. I'd rather have a man. I want to submit to you, just like I tell myself, this is the love that we desire. This is it. It's the love of God, because there are no conditions on this love. There's no, you don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to act a certain way. You just have to be. And he says, come as you are, just as he said to the woman. She was still in a relationship. She was still in a relationship. And he invited her to come and take the living water, just as he does today. And I don't want to discount, the for real ache that you might be feeling. If you are single, or if you are married and you're in a difficult marriage. I'm not discounting it. What I am saying is that the first love that you desire should come from God, and it will color every other relationship in your life. I was recently at If Gathering, and one of the things that they did is they had a panel of single women, and just to kind of talk to the audience and share what it's like to be single at different ages. And I never will forget when Latasha Morrison, she described the contrast between what she gets from God and what she gets from man. And she said, God completes me. She said, God completes me, and a man will complement me. And I was like, wow, you know, that is so the truth, and it's so the heart of what I'm saying. And society would tell us otherwise. It would tell us that you are complete when you couple up. You are complete when you get that man, that 2.5 kids, the house, the white picket fence. But no, we are complete by our Savior. He makes us whole. He fills the emptiness. He soothes the ache. He is all of that. So I pray that that was an encouragement to you. I'm going to review really quickly, and then I'm going to be out. But if you want to get the love that your heart longs for, that you so desire, the three things that you need to do is, number one, believe that he sees you wherever you are, whatever you are dealing with. Number two, you've got to abandon your substitutes. Let them go, because they're going to leave you thirsty. They will leave you thirsty. And number three, accept all that Jesus offers. And there's so much in all. There is so much in all. So I love y'all. I really pray that this was a blessing. And if you are a woman who grew up without the love and affirmation of your father, if you are a woman who grew up with your father and you have just some father wounds or some daddy wounds, some daddy issues, please head on over to my blog. There is some encouragement there for you. You can find me at www.pitfall, fatherswap.com, like wife swap, but not wife swap, it's fatherswap.com. You can also find me on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/fatherswap. And let me see what else. If you want to email me, if you want somebody to pray with you, you can email me at info@fatherswap.com. I would love to pray for you to go before the Father on your behalf. And that's it for me. As always, I just want to encourage you, whoever you are, to love your earthly dad, really, no matter what he has done. And embrace God as your Heavenly Father. I'm Kia Stevens. It has most certainly been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me, and I look to see you guys again next time. Hi. This has been a Digging Deeper segment with Kia Stevens of the Father Swap blog. Music has been provided by SoundCloud via RC and free hip-hop beats. Please remember to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Google+, and Pinterest at Father Swap. Additionally, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and the Father Swap blog. If you should have questions or comments regarding the show or suggestions for new topics, please contact us at info@fatherswap.com. Once again, thank you for watching, and we hope you'll join the conversation next week.